is fire on my altar. There is fire on my altar. This fire, no man can quench. There is fire on my altar. There is fire on my altar. This fire, no man can quench. There is fire on my altar. There is fire on my altar. This fire, no man can quench.
There is this interesting book. It's called Prophet of the End, written by Ellen G. White. In the table of content, chapter 18, page 179, the title is Satan Discusses His Plans. Now let us go to the reading so we can get to understand what Satan has planned for the people of God in these last days. The present writer has in his files a book published 100 years ago by a French monk who overheard a secret planning session of top leaders of the Society of Jesus, known as the Jesuits. Taking it down in shorthand, he later published it. The unveiling of future plans can be shocking, as they were in this instance. Ellen White in vision also overheard a top planning session, but this one of Satan and his angels. Here is his plan to destroy you and all who would wish to come to God or serve him in these last days. As the people of God approach the perils of the last days, Satan holds earnest consultation with his angels as to the most successful plan of overthrowing their faith. He sees that the popular churches are already lulled to sleep by his deceptive power. By pleasing sophistry and lying wonders, he can continue to hold them under his control. Therefore, he directs his angels to lay their snares especially for those who are looking for the second advent of Christ and endeavoring to keep all the commandments of God. Says the great deceiver, we must watch those who are calling the attention of the people to the Sabbath of Jehovah. They will lead many to see the claims of the law of God, and the same light which reveals the true Sabbath reveals also the ministration of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary, and shows that the last work for man's salvation is now going forward. Hold the minds of the people in darkness till that work is ended, and we shall secure the world and the church also. The Sabbath is the great question which is to decide the destiny of souls. We must exalt the Sabbath of our creating. We have caused it to be accepted by both worldlings and church members. Now the church must be led to unite with the world in its support. We must work by signs and wonders to blind the eyes to the truth and lead them to lay aside reason and the fear of God and follow custom and tradition. I will influence popular ministers to turn the attention of their hearers from the commandments of God. That which the scriptures declare to be a perfect law of liberty shall be represented as a yoke of bondage. The people accept their ministers' explanations of the scripture and do not investigate for themselves. Therefore, by working through the ministers, I can control the people according to my will. But our principal concern is to silence this sect of Sabbath keepers. We must excite popular indignation against them. We will enlist great men and worldly wise men upon our side, and induce those in authority to carry out our purposes. Then the Sabbath which I have set up shall be enforced by laws the most severe and exacting. Those who disregard them shall be driven out from the cities and villages, and made to suffer hunger and privation. When once we have the power, we will show what we can do with those who will not swerve from their allegiance to God. We led the Romish Church to inflict imprisonment, torture, and death upon those who refused to yield to her decree, And now that we are bringing the Protestant churches and the world into harmony with this right arm of our strength, we will finally have a law to exterminate all who will not submit to our authority. When death shall be made the penalty of violating our Sabbath, then many who are now ranked with commandment keeping will come over to our side. Now, when she says Sabbath here, Satan is not going to exalt the 7-day Sabbath of God, but their Sabbath, which is the false Sabbath, Sunday worship, and Sunday keeping. Sunday is not the 7-day Sabbath. The 7-day Sabbath is Saturday. But Satan is going to exalt a false man-made Sabbath that is not biblical. But before proceeding to these extreme measures, we must exert all our wisdom and subtlety to deceive and ensnare those who honor the true Sabbath, which is Saturday. We can separate many from Christ by worldliness, lust, and pride. They may think themselves safe because they believe the truth, but indulgence of appetite or the lower passions, which will confuse judgment and destroy discrimination, will cause their fall. Go, make the possessors of lands and money drunk with the cares of this life. Present the world before them in its most attractive light, that they may lay up their treasure here and fix their affections upon earthly things. We must do our utmost to prevent those who labor in God's cause from obtaining means to use against us, which is money. Keep the money in our own ranks. The more means they obtain, the more they will enjoy our kingdom and the spread of the truth we hate, and we need not fear their influence, for we know that every selfish, covetous person will fall under our power and will finally be separated from God's people. Through those that have a form of godliness but know not the power, we can gain many who would otherwise do us harm. Lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God will be our most effective helpers. Those of this class who are apt and intelligent will serve as decoys to draw others into our snares. Many will not fear their influence because they profess the same faith. We will thus lead them to conclude that the requirements of Christ are less strict than they once believed, and that by conformity to the world they would exert a greater influence with worldlings. Thus they will separate from Christ, then they will have no strength to resist our power, and ere long they will be ready to ridicule their former zeal and devotion. Until the great decisive blow shall be struck, our efforts against commandment keepers must be untiring. We must be present at all their gatherings. In their large meetings, especially our cause will suffer much, and we must exercise great vigilance and employ all our seductive arts to prevent souls from hearing the truth and becoming impressed by it. I will have upon the ground as my agents men beholding false doctrines mingled with just enough truth to deceive souls. I will also have unbelieving ones present who will express doubt in regard to the Lord's messages of warning to his church. Should the people read and believe these admonitions, we could have little hope of overcoming them. But if we can divert their attention from these warnings, they will remain ignorant of our power and cunning, and we shall secure them in our ranks at last. God will not permit his words to be slighted with impunity. If we can keep souls deceived for a time, God's mercy will be withdrawn and he will give them up to our full control. We must cause destruction and division. We must destroy their anxiety for their own souls and lead them to criticize, to judge, and to accuse and condemn one another, and to cherish selfishness and enmity. For these sins, God banished us from his presence, and all who follow our example will meet a similar fate. Now you can read more in The Great Controversy, 1884 edition, pages 337 and 340.
There is fire on my altar. There is fire on my altar. This fire.